Hey everyone! In today's video, I am going to be talking about something I haven't seen many videos on or many artists talking about, and it's coincidental that right before I was going to do this voiceover, my art friend Lord Gris posted on her story talking about this, and I was like, whoa. It's meant to be because I think it's a pretty interesting topic not a lot of people talk about. I see a lot of comments saying digital art isn't real art on my YouTube videos and on other mutual artists' posts. Disclaimer, I want to say I predominantly get positive and uplifting comments, especially on my Instagram. Most negative comments, quote unquote, that I get are usually useful and contain constructive criticisms. I do get more negative comments on YouTube just because a lot of people will stumble across old videos and not really bother to check out any of my other body of work and just comment on that specific video as if all of my artwork is that way. So that's just the reason that my YouTube is less positive. However, I do get a lot of these comments on my YouTube saying that digital art isn't real art. And I wanted to talk about why I think it's harmful and why I think it's wrong and reasons you should digitally paint. So the first half of what you're watching is from a live stream I did for the Alienware Outpost for their launch of the new M-Series laptops. And then the second half of the video is after the live stream, which was 2 hours long, just finishing up the painting and getting it ready, finalized. And also it is up in my shop if you want to check it out. Links will be in the description, and I will talk a little bit more about the Alienware Outpost a little bit later. It ties into this video as well. So first off, why I think this comment is harmful. I know some younger artists will be discouraged from using this medium because of comments like this, which is a desirable skill when working as an independent artist, and often it is a young artist's first option when they want to start painting. Why I think it's a good skill to have, there are a couple of reasons. First is quicker turnaround. For example, if you have a commission, a client, something like that, or even if you just have a YouTube video, an Instagram post to make, there is quicker turnaround. Instead of having to wait for your oil painting to dry between layers, often days for that drying process, that time, then to dry before you completely varnish it, which you have to be super sure it's full on dry, and then you have to wait for the varnish to dry before you can scan that, and then editing that scan for the final product to get rid of dust to make sure the colors are spot on. You are going to be finished with the artwork much more quickly if you're working on a digital painting. Now, that's not to say digital painting should completely eradicate oil painting, watercolors, acrylics, because that's not the point, but it does have a much quicker turnaround, which is super useful if you are on a time crunch and you have clients you need to get paintings to, and you don't have to just sit there and wait for your oil painting to dry. You can finish your artwork and send it to the client much more quickly than if you had to wait for those dry times. Secondly, it has good portability. It's much easier to carry a laptop and tablet or even just an iPad, which a lot of people are solely using Procreate nowadays, rather than having to carry around a set of paints, brushes, papers or canvases, rags, jars, and medium if you're painting with acrylic or oils. It is harder to travel with traditional media. Again, I'm not trying to say traditional media isn't worthwhile or a good skill to have, but it's just as a professional who has to travel, it is much easier to carry around digital than traditional. And it ties into the quicker turnaround. You can have quick revisions for that artwork. If you're working on a traditional piece, it is much harder to go in and make revisions on that artwork rather than if you were working on a digital painting. And that is why I only offer digital commissions, because it would take just as long to do the revisions on a traditional painting as it was to get it to that stage. So revisions for me, whenever I'm doing a traditional painting, a lot of times I'll have to restart that painting. If it's a watercolor, I can't go over areas that need a revision. I would need to restart that painting. If it was oils, I would have to wait for dry time. And if it was gouache, it's still a pain to make a revision on a traditional painting. So even when it comes to commissions, it is much easier to get a painting that your client will love with the least work from you if you're working on digital work. So that's kind of an overview of why it's a good skill to have, what makes it a useful skill to have. A lot of people think that an artist is not going to learn proper techniques and concepts if they are digitally painting, and that stuff can only be learned through traditional. And I think that is false, because skills and techniques learned when digital painting cross over to traditional and vice versa. Color theory is still a universal skill that crosses over from digital painting to traditional to design and photo editing. So it is a theory-based concept, and learning it through digital painting isn't less legitimate than learning it through a traditional painting. If I learned color theory through graphic design or through photography, it would not make that concept that I learned less valuable than if I learned it through an oil painting. And I think this whole comment that digital art isn't real art, it really bothers me, because I wanted to learn to paint when I was 10-ish, and I did not have money or resources for quality paints and oil paints. So I started to digitally paint when I was 10 or 11, and it was years before I could actually get even low quality oil paints, and then years after that until I could get watercolors. So I just didn't have the money for it, but it is much easier to purchase a pretty good tablet for $60 and then use a free painting software such as Krita to start leveling up your skills now, if that's your only possibility. Even if your family has an iPad and you can get Procreate for $10 and start learning that way. Learning skills such as color theory, lighting, anatomy, composition, they are going to cross over from different media, so it's not something you should shame somebody for. I personally am well-rounded in oil painting. I know how to paint with acrylics, I paint with gouache, watercolors, I do drawing, I know how to ink, I know how to digitally paint, and I'm a pretty well-rounded artist when it comes to my media and my techniques. So to me, it bothers me that I started off painting with digital programs. I didn't start off painting traditionally. It was not an option for me, and I think that I really improved my skills through that it really did help me learn all these concepts that are theory-based, and it crossed over to me learning oil painting and watercolors. So to me, it's so silly to say digital art isn't real art, because it was the way I learned how to paint. I think that my traditional paintings really benefited from the knowledge that I learned when I was working on my digital artwork. Digital art came second to drawing in my artistic learning process, and it helped me learn a lot of useful skills. So I'm just an example of how, even if it was the very first thing I learned how to do really with art, it got me to where I am now, and I don't think I'm a bad artist. Now we can look at it from a pragmatic, businessy mindset, which I think might even be the most convincing argument, is that there are so many opportunities that arise from knowing how to digitally paint, especially in a lot of modern industries. You can create concept art for movies and games. You can create background design for TV shows or animated movies. You can easily do commissions for others, and in my case, even opportunities to review tablets, computers, laptops, or work on promotional content for companies are things that I have done and things that are possible because of digitally painting. I cannot do really any of these things if I was only good at traditional painting. Traditional painting has a demographic that really just appreciates fine art specifically, so a specific painting will be a lot more expensive. It will take a lot longer time to make. A lot of times people who are just traditional painters will have affiliations with galleries. They'll have it's a different world, it's a completely different world than the one I am in. There's a lot of oil painters that just solely do that, have gallery shows, gallery work, and the content they create takes a lot longer to make, is a lot more intricate, and it's just different from the kind of content that I create. It's not like one is better or worse, and I have a lot of admiration and respect for people that can just do gallery work, traditional paintings, but that to me is not an option. I don't have this huge amount of money where I cannot post for weeks or like not have a final product for, let's say, a month or more than that. It's just not an option for me. It's not the way that I can make income. And so to say that digital art isn't real art, that it's not viable, is just harmful because my income is made primarily through digital mediums. This leads me to talking about this painting, which I created during a Twitch stream for the Alienware Outpost and the launch of their new M series laptops. And if you don't know, I do actually own a 17-inch Alienware laptop myself, which I had purchased spring semester of freshman year, so now I'm an upcoming senior. So I've had it for a while. When I was really stoked when they reached out to me with this opportunity, because I love Alienware and I think they have really good quality laptops. Obviously, they're Alienware. Again, if I wasn't familiar with digital painting and the computers and software that were involved, I wouldn't have been a good fit for this opportunity. And I also have upcoming content that is made possible because of digital painting. Even the ease of screen recording a digital painting for YouTube made my channel larger. If I was only posting traditional work, which gets much fewer views than my digital work, I just would not have as many subscribers as I do. And this is all like a pragmatic way of looking at it, where it's saying like digital painting is a very viable income option, a very viable option for an independent artist to further themselves. And by saying that digital art isn't real art, it's discrediting so much work that goes into it. So skills that you learn that are universal theory-based concepts that you can learn through whatever medium, it's just saying that you don't have skills as an artist and that digital painting is not a viable option for income or for self-employment. And that is false. Not even self-employment. You could work for an animation company or a game design company. You could be a creative director. It plays into graphic design so much. So that is my little rant. I got kind of heated, didn't I? It's just something that bothers me, and there's so many good things about digital art that I see, and it's really harmful, I think, to especially younger artists, to discourage them from learning skills because it's digital. I learned painting when I was 10 or 11 through digital artwork, and those skills translated to my traditional. It wasn't the other way around. So it's just not a valid argument or comment to say digital art isn't real art, because I learned so many concepts that translated to traditional work, which is quote unquote real art, right? If you think digital art isn't real art, traditional is, right? But it translated, and I'm good at both. So I don't understand the comment. Anyway, those were my 2 cents on the topic. So if you do disagree, please let me know why. Like, give me a good reason. Don't just say digital art isn't real art. I would understand if you were talking about art that you only trace over a photo, you color pick from that photo, like you just let that photo sort of show through, you're not really learning the skills. But if you're creating a digital painting from scratch, you're using reference photos, you're using good theory behind all the choices you're making in your painting, I don't understand why it would not be real art. So I just wanted to talk a little bit about the M series laptops that came out. The M15R3 and the M17R3 are the newest incredibly thin gaming laptops out there. I have used my 17-inch laptop, which is 3 or 4 years old now, for digital painting and video editing especially. I'm not exactly a gamer, so just that says these laptops are super functional, and I got that laptop specifically because I wanted the power and the strength that came with a laptop for my digital paintings and my video editing. I really recommend checking out their new line. I will have it linked down in the description, and I'm really grateful for Alienware for working with me on the live stream and on this painting, because it was such a fun experience, and I had conversations with them, getting to know them better and them getting to know me, where I really felt heard, and I felt that their message really aligns with mine, especially with their inclusion of women, especially into the gaming industry where there aren't a lot of women, and respectfully portraying women. I just really appreciate them, and I felt a really big connection with a brand as I got to know them more. So I will have them linked down in the description. I think they are, if you're interested in a gaming laptop or even a laptop with a lot of horsepower for your painting or editing needs, I think that they are a great option, and especially because of their ethic, I suggest you check them out. If you like this painting, I have prints in my shop of quite a couple of different sizes, and at the moment I'm having a 20% off basically everything in my shop except originals, and even a couple of my prints are 40% off, so check that out. I will have links to my shop and the codes that you can use down in the description if you'd like to check them out. I really appreciate it, and if you like this video, please give me a thumbs up, comment, let me know what your thoughts are on this subject, and subscribe if you want to see more videos. But I will talk to you guys in the next one. Thank you so much for watching. Bye!